What is Isabella?
Isabella is the open Dybbuk box I have. So they believe she was a spoiled brat who married at a young age. She decided to drive the car and she ran into a pole, killing her kid and killing her husband. So they believe that's the spirit that's inside Isabella. I had an open one, caught on camera, I think 5 people getting possessed. We had one night.
Oh, shit. When you say possession, it means that some other spirit has taken over their body?
Yeah, so it almost feels like step 1 with her is you're gonna feel nauseous. And then step 2 is you go silent. I sealed her up in the summer, the box blew up. How do you freaking explain that?
That is crazy. I couldn't have imagined that, you being half Indian.
I know, no, like that's the biggest shock out there.
India also has a lot of stories and occult practices.
Yeah, I love it, yeah. Like, I think that's why I'm so connected to it, is because I think it's my Indian side of me. So everyone thinks a seance is table rapping, but it's not. It's basically a way. So you get a group of people and it's basically trying to connect to the dead. We were doing the seance and all of a sudden her daughter's not responding to the mom.
You can even hypnotize, like you can also make me forget my own name.
I've done that before, like on TV actually.
This is also a very good life skill, detecting somebody's lying or not. Can you read my mind?
I've been doing all the mind reading stuff since I was 6 years old.
Am I hard to read?
I think you will be, just because we'll see. I want you to think of something that you can draw. You can do a.
Oh my god.
Okay, that was easy. That was easier. I can tell in that how much you actually think of the person.
Brother, you just blew my mind. I can't tell you how excited I am about this conversation that I'm going to have. I've been waiting for this for so long. Krista told me about you.
Yeah.
Then I checked out your seances. I checked out all the stuff that you're creating on social media.
Yeah.
Brother, you just blew my mind.
No, that means a lot coming from you. Thank you so much.
No, seriously, man. Just to give a little bit of a overview to people that know what I'm talking about, Mr. Jaymes here is a mind reader. He is also into paranormal activities, which means he also does a lot of seances. He is a human lie detector, body language expert, worked with criminals, worked with detectives about criminals. There's so many things to unravel.
Yeah, I know, there's a lot.
Yeah,
but I'm a weird person, I guess you could say.
You know what is the most weirdest part? That, I mean, I couldn't have imagined that, you being half Indian.
I know, no, like that's the biggest shock out there is I tell everyone, I'm Indian. This is where everything comes from. I'm Indian. And everyone's like, no, you're not. I'm like, I'm Indian. Meet my mom. So my mom's from India. She moved over to Canada, met my dad, who's not Indian. And that's how I am here. So I'm a hybrid. But if you look at my brothers, like my youngest brother looks more Indian. And I kind of look in between, and then Jason looks like the whitest person you ever meet in his life.
If you wouldn't have told me that you were half Indian, I wouldn't have guessed it.
No one has not, like I'm 37 years old, not one person has ever guessed it.
Crazy.
And it's pretty crazy.
What a coincidence though. Like, yeah, I never imagined that, when I will talking to you, that you will say that, oh, I'm Hindu. I'm not really?
Yeah, I know. It's shocking because I remember growing up and, going to the Hindi schools, going to the temple, and everyone would be kind of like not looking at me, but they would kind of be like, okay. But then they meet my mom and they go, okay, yeah.
So your mom came here at what age?
She was like 18, 19 years old for university.
And back from India, where was she?
She was in New Delhi. So she came from New Delhi. She came over because her brother was here. So her brother got her over. And then she wanted to be a doctor, but Canada's laws at the time did not allow that. So she became a chemical engineer, which is still pretty good, I think.
Okay. At the age of 18, she came here and then she pursued engineering.
Engineering, yeah.
Okay. And originally she came to Ottawa or?
Yeah, she came from Ottawa. She was actually living in a place called Barhaven, which was like the middle of nowhere back in the day. It's now kind of expanded into its own city. But back then it was pretty awful. Like it was this place like in the middle of nowhere. So she did university. She was taking, because we got her grandma over for a bit. Yeah. But then her my grandma got, her mom, it'd be my grandma. My grandma got sick. So she ended up having a stroke when she came to Canada. So she was in the hospital for a few years before she passed. And so my mom was going to school while taking care of her. And then somehow she did university in 3 years instead of 4.
Okay.
Which is pretty hard to do, as we both know.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I did it in 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of 4.
Exactly. And I did mine in 4, and I don't know how I could have done it in 3.
Yeah. That's wild, man. And like looking back, when did you all start into seances and all these information, all the things that you do?
So like I've been doing all the mind reading stuff since I was 6 years old, and kind of like how that basically began. It's a weird story. You want me to share this?
Yeah, of course.
So we were doing a trip to, I think, Edmonton or Vancouver, and basically in Edmonton there was roller coasters and there was also some like weird magic shop, and my dad was like, for some reason he was being cheap, and he said you have the choice of one or the other. Both my brothers picked the roller coaster, and I picked the magic shop. And then I ended up buying these magic tricks, and I can't do magic. Like I tried it, I'm just really awful at it. But it kind of opened my mind. And then I started doing the mind reading stuff because I didn't connect with people at a young age. So I had to start noticing patterns on people. It's the same thing as a psychopath. So a psychopath, essentially why they're good at manipulation is because they had to learn it. So when you think about it, every single thing they did, they taught themselves. So they practiced more than you, so they're better at it. So the same thing with me is I didn't connect with people. I'm not a psychopath because I have emotion. I have sympathy. I care about people. But because I didn't connect with people, I had to learn everything. So I started noticing patterns. And then I started turning that patterns into a science. And then that's kind of how it developed. And so no one knew I did this until I was 18. So I was building it up until I was 18. I never did a show or anything until I was 18 because I was too scared and shy.
So since 6 years of age till 18, nobody
I
knew
was just
that you were-
mastering my craft, just practicing, but I didn't perform because I was too scared. Like I'm an introvert at heart. Even though like I perform for 700 people on a constant basis, I have the biggest seance in Canada. I'm terrified. Like I'm naturally an introvert. And so I was, how do you go from 18, like at 18 years old, I'm kind of like, okay, I can do this. And then I did a show and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I can do this. And then how to convince my mom, because we both know as being Indian is they only want engineers, doctors, medical doctors, I might add, or lawyer. Yeah, they only want us to be that. So how do I convince my mom? So I told my mom I got a criminology degree. I was going to go for my PhD, but then my career took off. But how I convinced her is I brought her to one of the shows. She saw the show, and I think after she saw the show, she realized, I think he has something. And I think that's what kind of made her believe. Because I think she never wanted, like, not that they were encouraging, but
because this is very out of the industry standard, right?
It's not a normal thing. I didn't plan to become a mentalist or a mind reader.
People wouldn't even consider singing as a profession.
No, and how do you make a living doing it? And I just got lucky, I think. I don't know what it is. I just got lucky, I think, that everything just worked out. But I guess it's not about I didn't go in going, okay, I want to be a famous seance person or whatever you want to call this. It just kind of happened. I worked hard, and my mom and my parents, both of them instilled in me, never give up, work hard, and just go for it. You have nothing to lose. And like I said, I have an educational background. So it's not like I could just be on the street if this didn't work out. I would have probably got my PhD or done something like that. But, this is just your path. I believe everyone's good at something, but you got to find what it is. So I think everyone has a gift, a special thing. And for some reason it's this, which I didn't want it to be this. It just ended up being this. If that makes any sense.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, this is great, man. And so
I didn't answer your question about the seance, did I?
No, you did.
Okay, I did.
But we are going to go more deeper into
and I'll
this.
explain how that happened. Okay.
Exactly. And now what I was thinking that, what we are going to do is we'll probably divide this conversation into multiple parts.
Okay.
I want to talk about first paranormal activities and seances.
Yeah.
And I also want you to do some kind of a mind reading trick on me.
I'll attempt something. You might be so hard to read.
Because I want to. Am I hard to read?
I think you will be, just because we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Don't expect greatness, is what I'm saying.
No, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so let's talk about seances. How did you get into this? What does it even mean? And tell me some great stories around it.
Okay, so for the seance, I've done it for 9 years now. There's been over 25,000 people, so I think it's 26,500 people who have attended. So
what are seances?
So seances, essentially, it's basically a way, so you get a group of people and it's basically trying to connect to the dead. That's essentially what a seance is. So you bring them to a haunted location and see if they can connect to something. Sometimes stuff happens, sometimes nothing happens. It depends on the group, it depends what you bring in. Yeah.
And people are interested because they have some past experiences, so they want some answers, or is it that just for an entertainment purpose?
So what I do, because I don't have the ability, and I'm not saying people do or don't, I don't personally, me personally, don't have the ability to go talk to your dead grandparents or your dead anything. That doesn't happen. So what I did to make, believers and skeptics both come is we focus on the location. So we went to a haunted location, like a famous haunted location, let's say in Toronto, and then we only focus on that.
Okay.
So I don't focus, because there's been times where it's been awkward where people are coming for answers, say they lose their kid and they come to my seance and all of a sudden they hear footsteps and stuff and they go, oh, I think it's my kid. I'm like, it's not your kid. And then people start convincing them that it's the kid. I'm like, it's not the kid, trust me. So I don't want to give them false hope, because there's so many, I can share so many weird stories like that, even from the mentalist side, where I'll look at you and I'll guess a name. And I'm just using profiling and a cold reading, and I guess the name and they go, that's my dead kid. And they think I'm talking to their dead kid. And then I literally stop my show and go, no, what I did is, statistically, I did the most common names. I threw out a name and went in that direction. I didn't say your kid was named this. I said the name this means something to you. And then they put the connection to it. That's one of the cold reading aspects. So that's the science behind cold reading, which you can talk about later if you want.
There's something that I read about hot reading and cold reading.
Yeah.
So maybe this is...
So hot reading is basically like cold reading is hot reading is you know something and you kind of expand on it. So you say say I knew like you got that watch from Best Buy, then I would just expand on something about Best Buy and make it bigger. Cold reading is basically I look at you and I'm giving the illusion I know stuff about you when I don't. But one of the and then profiling is a totally different thing because it's all statistics based. It's kind of like looking at you and going, okay, you're in a red shirt. This is what people with red shirts mean. This is what person. So a simple way to explain that is with if you want to know if someone's left or right-handed, is what you watch is their belt buckle, because mostly people right-handed have their belt buckle to the right. If you're left-handed, you have your belt buckle to the left. Then opposite watch is always on the opposite hand. So if my watch is here, I'm most likely left-handed.
So these are little things that you
that you just pick up, So you always want to get more than one verification. So if I see the belt to your right, I'm looking at your watch as well. Also, generally, people get their bigger tattoo on their opposite hand. So notice my bigger tattoo's on my opposite hand. I'm double-handed for the record. I can write. Yeah, I can write. So I started right-handed.
Is there something that you can't do?
No,
you can read minds.
Like, I'm pretty bad at like social situations. You put me in an awkward social setting, I can't even talk to people.
You're great, man.
But like, what I mean is, like, I started writing with my right hand, but then in high school I was bored, so I started using only my left hand, and now I'm like double-handed, but it just means I can't write good with either hand. So
wait. You were bored.
Yeah.
So you started writing with a different hand.
School wasn't that difficult.
Who does that?
I don't know me, apparently, the weird ones. But so that's why I'm double. Like I can write with both hands. Like left became my dominant hand. So like if I have to do anything, open a bottle, it's always my left hand, even though I'm right-handed. If that makes, I know it's weird, but I can't write well with both hands now, like because I didn't practice.
I think you have a little bit of. When you were talking, and I'm observing that you have some traits of Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think I do. I think it's just, and again, like a lot of it's trained, but I think it's just my like I'm not saying I'm a psychopath, but I'm saying I had the problem like a psychopath doesn't connect with people, but they have no conscious towards others. They don't feel other people, where I still feel other people and everything, but I just had that trouble connecting with people. So I had to learn a lot of how to, like, that's why I'm socially awkward a bit and stuff like that, because I had to learn it all. But I think people in showbiz like the awkwardness of me. Like they don't want to just see the normal, boring person. They want someone that's weird. So I think that's why my career has done well as well, because I'm naturally weird. I think I remember when I was when I was 18, and you remember I told you I started performing when I was 18. I was really shy, so I hired like the top acting coach in Ottawa. And what he told me, I still remember his advice. He's like, James, you're naturally weird. We just got to extend that and bring that to the public. And that's what happened. So I'm a bit myself still. It's just an extension of me.
Yeah. It's such a great analogy, because I think like most of the geniuses of the world are a little weird.
Off. Yeah, like I don't think I'm a genius or anything. But
since man, like this is not, and an average person cannot write with two hands. That is number one.
Thank you.
Not an average person can read minds. And the seances that you do, which 25,000 people have attended. Yeah. So I would say that
most of them have survived, for the record.
Most of them have
survived for the record. We have some crazy. Oh my God. So basically why I think the seances do well is because you're bringing them to a spot where skeptics and believers both like it, because I'm not focused on your grandparents. So anyone can become the star of the seance without realizing it. So you might be the most quiet person in the seance, and then you end up being the star of the seance.
But why do people scream at seances?
They cry. Like there's lots of crying, because they connect with stuff. Like some of the stuff that's happened, I have no explanation.
I was just watching a video, and I'll just show you right now, and you tell me what exactly is happening over here.
I guess we're gonna have
so, I guess we got to watch this.
So those are people just like stuff is happening to them, and I don't know what is happening to them, and they're like just freaking out and crying. And those are just like reaction shots from the seance. Like they're scared. Like this is not like fake scared. They're like genuinely terrified. Like that. Like
why would not
I don't know. That's that one's kind of funny.
Yeah, so when we are talking about this, like how... Because
it did get voted like the scariest gathering in Canada. Like it is like...
Which place was it again?
So they're all different locations, because one of the special things about the seance, we change locations every year. So we go to one location, we never go back.
Okay.
And that's what makes it special, because you're also seeing these historical locations that are haunted that you can't get into. So where like this year we did the Stanley Barracks, where it's in like the CNE, and it has like, it used to be like essentially an internment camp for the Japanese and stuff like that. And it hasn't been open to the public for like 22 years. So all these people know about it. You walk by when you go to the Budweiser stage, or you go to the Energy Care or whatever that center is, but no one knew what it was. And so getting to go into stuff like that, even just going to the building is amazing, just for the history of it. Like, there's so much history that we don't share. So they firstly get to do that. They get to see the whole building, the whole thing as much as they want. They can do whatever they want during the seance, which is also kind of special. And then we try to connect. And once you get that right group and the right dynamics, you can have like miracles.
What do you mean by connect? Like, is there some kind of a procedure that you
so what we're doing is, I forgot to mention with seance, is like you use a lot of techniques that have been going around for hundreds of years. So like think of like automatic writing, think of using a Ouija board, think of a concept called table rapping, which is probably what everyone thinks a seance is, when everyone holds hands in a circle. So everyone thinks a seance is table rapping, but it's not. That's just one of many different seance techniques.
Okay.
So table rapping is the most famous. So every movie, they're like, we're doing a seance, and they're just all holding hands. That's table rapping.
Okay.
And why it was called table rapping is because it was originally invented by the Fox sisters. And the Fox sisters, they got caught for being frauds. But basically why the knocking is so famous is because they had an apple behind a wall. And the apple would hit the wall, so it sounded like a knock. And then they could also like crack their joint, so it sounded like a knock as well. So that's why the originality of seances with knocking was knocking, because of the Fox sisters.
Okay.
So that's kind of like just interesting, because people always, when you think of seance, they're like, knock if you're here. Why is it knocking? And that's why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So multiple ways of creating that kind of an environment. And Dybbuk is also one of those?
Which one?
Dybbuk?
Yeah, so Dybbuk box. So Dybbuk's box you do not want to play with. Like, they're the worst of the worst if you believe in the paranormal. So what it is, it's from Jewish folklore. And it's basically a container that inhabits a Dybbuk, which is a negative spirit, essentially a demon, the worst of the worst. So they have to get sealed up to be protected. So I was kind of, I don't know, smart or stupid about it. And I had an open one. And we caught on camera, I think, 5 people getting possessed. We had one night where some guy said he swears he saw the thing move, and he goes outside and breaks his leg. Like, I'm not making this up. He's like, he broke his damn leg. And then we had one night where this guy like says it nonchalantly this year. He was like, I was holding Isabella last year, and I went outside and my back tooth fell out. I'm like what?
What is Isabella?
So Isabella is the open Dybbuk box I have, and what she was is the story. This is the story behind her. They believe she was a spoiled brat who married at a young age. And she was only with her husband for money, and basically her husband wanted a divorce. They had a kid, and so basically she was kind of crazy. So she decided to drive the car, and she ran into a pole, killing her kid and killing her husband. So they believe that's the spirit that's inside Isabella.
And who put the spirit inside? And
so that would have been a long time ago, because the doll is like almost 100 years old, maybe less than 100 years old. But what happened was, from what I've heard, is it was sealed up, like literally sealed up with a box by a Jew, like a rabbi, and it was owned by like a collector of spiritual items, and he died. And what happened is it was passed down to his daughter. His daughter didn't know what it was and opened it up. Then she started having all this weird stuff happen to her. And then that's when my friend, not knowing what it was, sent it to me, because 2 years ago I did a seance called the Isabella Street Seance. So she heard about this doll named Isabella and sent it to me as a gift, not knowing it was an open Dybbuk box. So then when I got it, I'm not making this up, my garage door broke, my car broke, I had all these issues right when I got her. And I was like, okay, I don't know what this means. I don't know if it's a coincidence, because it could be a coincidence, but it is very weird. So I brought her to the seance, the Isabella Street Seance, but no one realized she was there. So think about it. So if you're in like this room right here, she'd be hidden somewhere where you can't see her.
Hidden as in like you'll put it...
You can't see her.
What do you mean?
So I would hide her in the room, and I would only bring her out if people found her, and not knowing that she was even there. So there'd be certain nights where people just like would walk into this room, walk straight to that corner, and be like, there's something negative here, not knowing it's there. And then I'd be like, wow, there's actually like an open Dybbuk box right there that you can't even see. And then I would bring her out. So she came out in 140 seances at Isabella around 30 times. And she came out those 30 times, and like it was like some of the stuff that happened. Like people, like we caught like possessions, we caught, the broken leg, the tooth thing. Like it was pretty bad, actually.
Like in one of the seances, I was just reading about it. 6 people got possessed.
Yeah. So like it was like a group possession, which was weird, and I had to bring them back. And that one wasn't even with Isabella, so I don't even understand how that happened.
Okay, that wasn't with
That wasn't even Isabella, and I don't even understand how that kind of happened. It was just like they're all together, and all of a sudden none of them are talking, and they don't realize they're not talking.
So when you say possession, it means that some other spirit has taken over their body?
Yeah, so it almost feels like whatever is there has taken over. Because one of the, like for Isabella, if I'm talking about Isabella specifically, what they believe the possession of her, it's like a warning sign. So step 1 with her is you're going to feel nauseous. So that's why I keep asking, like when I was doing table wrapping and I had Isabella, I always asked her, is anyone feeling nauseous? Did anyone feel nauseous? Because when that starts happening, I know she's going towards you now. And then step 2 is you go silent.
So Like going towards you, as in like if
Like she's attracted to you.
she's in the box.
Yeah. Well, okay. The box. Okay. I forgot to mention this. The box was open.
The
right?
box was open, and then she can go around and.
Yeah, exactly. But when she's sealed, she's fine. But what happened? I sealed her up in the summer, like by a rabbi and everything. And what happened is I was doing a radio show, and I'm not making this. The box blew up. So then she was open again this year. So I brought her back. Like she was at the house, and I think we only used her like 10 times this year. But every 10 times it was awful. Like every single time it was just awful. Like everyone was getting sick.
You asked me that.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it because I thought you know,
want this.
So I really wanted it. You know, like right.
I was scared, man.
Yeah. No. Yeah, no. Like if we had her, it'd be maybe fine. You would be fine, I think.
No, as long as you don't. But I asked you one very specific question. Like, what if I touch?
I would not touch her. I've never touched her.
That's what.
But that's all superstition. I'm not saying like something would happen to you, but I just from all the stories I've heard, like it kind of means like I'm not saying there is something, but like you know, someone lost their tooth. Like, how do you explain this?
How do you explain that?
I don't have an explanation. I don't like. I want to kind of release the stuff. I haven't released the possessions because I gotta get permission from the people. But like I remember. What was interesting this year is because I did a different seance called the Stanley Garrison seance, and Isabella was in the house, and for some reason they decided to use her, and I didn't know that the mother and the daughter who got possessed, it was the daughter that got possessed last year, was in the audience, and it was weird that she came out that night, and then so she talked to me after, and she was like, "It's very weird that you brought her out because she never comes out, but why? Because she was the one last year where the daughter was like." Thought she was talking to us and she wasn't. And so basically we were doing the seance and all of a sudden her daughter's not responding to the mom. And the mom's going, Jaymes, my daughter's not responding to me. And like the daughter wasn't weird or anything. It was like she was normal, if that makes sense. Like she wasn't like you know, crazy or anything. Like not saying that everyone's crazy, but she was like us. Like she wasn't acting.
She wasn't just responding.
No, she wasn't responding and she was just not responding at all. And I'm like trying to talk to her, all of a sudden she's not responding. So then I have to bring her back and everything. And then I bring her back and I ask her after, I was like, did you realize that you were talking to her? She's like, you never said anything to me. And when you did talk to me, I did respond. I'm like, all of us were like, no, you did not say anything. So it was almost like there was a missing 5 minutes in her brain. And it's hard to kind of explain. And then like we had another one with Isabella. Isabella was like standing right here, like in her box, staring at the person. The person just faints. Like we're holding hands and he faints and he doesn't. And then his friend is like, oh, she fainted. And I'm like, oh yeah. Okay, did she really? And then we get the lights on and the guy's like, no, I didn't faint. But he fainted.
He fainted.
I saw the footage after.
How much of this is placebo and how much is this real?
I don't know, and I think that's what makes the seance special. Is there's stuff like I'll share some like very detailed stories if you want me to.
Yeah, please.
Where I can't explain, where you kind of go home and go, how is that even possible?
Tell me anything.
Okay, so I'll share a few of them. So the first year I was doing seance, I did a seance in Ottawa called the Hindenburg Seance, and basically what we were doing is there were two people. So there was a lady, like I would say she was like 22, she was young. And a guy who's also around 22. So what happens, I told the guy to go upstairs, take a chalkboard, and just don't think about it and just let your hand go and write something. It doesn't matter what you write, just write something. So he ends up writing something, he doesn't show her. So they're upstairs by themselves, both of them in a room. She starts crying, and I'm like, oh no, what's going on? Like I didn't do it, like nothing's happening. And I said, like, what's going on? And she said basically, she felt like something was in the room. And she didn't know what to do, and then she felt like her dad was protecting her. So I said, like, what do you mean by that? She's like, my dad recently passed away, and I felt like his presence came and protected me. Then the guy turns over the thing, and it says, like, it says Mr. Cuddles. And she starts bawling her eyes, like, insane bawling. And I'm, like, sitting there, like, what's going on? And she said, when my dad passed away, the last thing he gave me was a teddy bear named Mr. Cuddles. How do you freaking explain that?
That is crazy.
Like to be part of that, it's unreal, because there's no explanation.
Yeah.
You know, how do you explain that? That guy did not know anything. He didn't even know who she was. I didn't know who she was. And and so with that, you never forget things like that. And so like the Mr. Cuddles ones, I still tell the story because I don't know how I can like.
But these are one of those good ones where, you know,
it's a positive.
It's a positive experience somebody had and,
you
know, they felt emotional about it.
Yeah.
Is there any other...
Oh, there's lots of bad ones. So
bad ones too?
Yeah, there's lots of bad ones. So like a lot of people sometimes, not a lot, but one of the principles when you're doing table rapping, when everyone's holding hands, is you don't break the circle. If you break the circle, you let something in, and is the principle. So if you break this, you got to think of like table rapping as almost like a phone line. We're channeling the spirit. So if you break the connection, does that make sense? You break the connection.
Okay.
But also when you break the circle, you break your protection so something can come in and go after someone. So we were in a broken circle group, and like there's always stories of when the circle breaks, people sometimes have issues when they go home. And the number one rule is you don't think about it when you go home, because if you think about it, you're planting the seed in your head, like we were kind of discussing earlier. And so we had some nights where people stuff's falling home, but we had one of the weirdest one is I became friends with him after, and he's Indian, by the way, so you're part of Amit. But he came to the 2 a.m. seance. They broke the circle. He went home and he said something followed him home. I didn't know any of this happened. He said like weird stuff was happening. Things were moving around. It was really loud. It was really annoying. So I see him 1 year later, and he comes like into the 2 a.m. seance, and I asked the group like, did anyone like be part of the broken circle group? He raises his hand, and I go, okay. And so did anything happen? He's like, yeah, everything like was following me home. I was going crazy. So I was like, why didn't you contact me? I was like, what was your solution? He literally moved. He literally moved, like went to a new apartment, like got out of the one. I was just like, that's insane, you know. So like I always thought that was kind of a, I don't know if that's a good or bad story, but like I always thought that was kind of a shows the impact seance can have on people. The fact they actually moved because something followed them home or possibly followed them home.
Yeah. Do you also go do a little bit of paranormal investigator?
I do because like I'm part of like Krista's group.
Yeah.
Like so I couldn't do it just because my mom was sick at the time when they started. So I go to a few of them. So I've had a few things happen at those, but like
how
it's
are those
fun.
different than seances?
Because what I like about the seances, and I think why the seance is special, is because we're not using much technology. Like I just feel like technology can sometimes take away. So if you watch a lot of the ghost shows, they're using like a million different things, and that's cool to use. But like I think sometimes it's just about using your intuition and feeling. Why don't we play on that? Rather
has there been a situation where you have just sensed automatically without any gadgets or any equipment that somebody's there?
So most things don't happen to me. It happens to everyone around me. That's the joke.
Why?
So like it'd be funny because if I brought you two to like my seance place or anywhere, you two might have stuff happen to you. Nothing's gonna happen to me. So I always feel.
So
safe.
you're the safer one.
I'm the safe.
That's
one.
why you wanted to bring the doll.
Yeah, exactly. Because I know you two might be the one possessed, and I would be okay. But like that's what I think the seance is. I push away the technology. Like if obviously you bring someone, say you bring your EMF reader, you bring whatever, you can use in the seance. I don't care. But I don't focus on it. I let you do it on your own. But like, it's not. I just think something special about like the groups getting away because we're on our phones all the time and stuff. Yeah. So for 2 hours, getting away from the world, getting away from the phones, I like that. Like I like that kind of idea, and that's why I've been really pushy about like turn off your phone. The other reason I tell people to turn off their phones, which they don't realize, is it baselines you. So if there's a lot of times when we're doing the table where all of a sudden your phone turns on and starts doing stuff. So I'll be like, if anyone's here right now, and all of a sudden their phone would come on, or beep, and they'd be like, my phone's off. Like stuff like that has happened many times. So that's why you want a baseline, so at least everyone's phones are off. And there was a cool story this year because we were talking before about in a Bangalore. You remember the lady in white with the sari?
Yeah.
So that happened, I think, in 2008. It was relatively recent. But the lady in white phenomena, if you notice, has been in like so many haunted locations in North America. So there was even a story of the lady in white at the barracks this year. And what kind of happened to us was there were three people witnessed this. So that's why it's kind of a insane story. So basically how the windows worked at the Stanley Barracks is you would shut them, they're old, and there would be a metal rod that you put down the middle.
Okay.
And then you spin it to push it into the ground.
Got it.
And then you would put another thing on top, like the wooden piece on top like that. And the wooden piece would have a clip that goes on like this, a metal clip that goes over it like that. So there's and I closed it. I'm 100% sure I closed this because I did it. And so what happens, the seance, they're standing here, 3 people, and two of them go, oh my God, I see a white thing go into that room. The third person says, I saw the face. A white thing went into that room, like a lady in white. I don't know if it was a lady or what. All of a sudden, the whole window and everything just blew open like that, like blew up like that. And I have no explanation, and that freaked me out because I was like, firstly, I'm the one that shut that window, and I'm 100% sure I know I shut that window. And I know I sealed it, I did everything. And the fact 3 people saw something go into the room before it happened. And so, like, when 3 people are experiencing that, how do you, it's different if one person experiences, you go, whatever, but when 3, you kind of go, like, how is it possible?
And which location was that?
Well, that was at this year's Stanley Barracks. So they had a story on the middle level that a lady in white with a big hat, long dress.
And is there a story behind her? Like,
they know nothing about her. So the most common spirit at the Stanley Barracks was which is actually, I should bring this up, was Michael Sullivan. So he was an electrician in 1906, and his helmet hit a wire, and he got electrocuted and died instantly. And so they believe he haunted. So we had I'm not kidding, we had 3 lights blow up on us. One light on the middle level just kind of went flying. One in the basement blew up, and one at the top blew up. And I was like, it has to be something to do with that, because I've never had that in any of my seances before. So it's kind of like the light was a kind of a, like, you remember stuff like that, And I don't know if it was just a fluke that it's just an old beat up crappy building that the light just fell eventually because it hasn't been used in forever, but it's still pretty crazy, you know?
Yeah, it's very like even Krista told me one of the stories when she went to one strip club in Guelph.
Yeah.
Which was in previous strip club, but
Yeah.
then it converted into a motel.
Yeah.
So have you been to that place?
I haven't been to that. I haven't went to that one. What happened? What did she say?
She was telling that
Yeah.
they did one of those
Ouija board?
Ouija board.
Yeah.
And they talked to one of the spirits, and she was a lady, and she was killed in that
Yeah.
strip club.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And she told how killed her.
Oh, shit. Okay, that's
And
crazy.
there was a story behind it, and that was pretty scary.
That is.
Yeah. So, but how do you communicate? That is my question. Like when somebody's telling you.
So I think I'm able to get people into the state of mind that you're able to do it. I can't do it. You're able to do it.
So like
So if
one of the person is going to get possessed.
not
or-
possessed, but say like I have a group of 7 people here and I say like, let me know if you're experiencing, if you're feeling anything. If you all of a sudden start feeling stuff, I'm going to try seance techniques specifically on you, like automatic writing. Things that just get you not to think, because you basically can't think if you think it's not going to work. It's basically I got to get your subconscious to take over your conscious, to pick up something if anything's around. It's kind of the whole principle around it.
Okay.
And so if, for example, you went into the house and you're like, man, my spider senses are telling me just something's not right about this room. I'll try something with you in that room. And all of a sudden I'll show you the information later on, or I'll show you it in advance, like in your pocket. Like I'll have the information of the house that I haven't told you. Then all of a sudden I sometimes compare, and then you go, the name Peter came into my mind and blah, 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 blah. You might look at the information and it might say like, for that story, like there was someone named, William, but he had a son named Peter who died in the house. Then we would focus on Peter because you picked that up. How would you have known that?
How would you have known?
And that's kind of so it's almost like a jigsaw puzzle every single time. I don't know how the seance is going to be. It's what you bring into it. So sometimes they're really awful, like they're boring because you have a bad group. Not that the groups are all bad, but if you're drunk, if you're something like that, if you're not open-minded, it's not going to be a fun seance, which I don't care. I've done, I have the biggest one in Canada. If it's bad now, it's you. It's not me.
How many have you done so far?
Over 1,500.
1,500.
And they've all been sold out, so it's kind of it's been nice. And
when is going to be the next one?
I've been on the fence if I should do one more or not, because like it's.
Why?
I like the mentalist stuff more,
Yeah.
But like the people go, like even when we had to cancel during the first pandemic, like I got so many hate messages saying like, how could you cancel this event? Blah 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 blah. So if I do cancel it officially, they're gonna kill me. Right? So like, I guess it makes sense to do a 10th year seance, but like I'm on the fence about it right now.
Yeah. I think that is why you and I, we were talking about it, that, you are pretty famous in terms of seances over here. But there's a lot of mind reading stuff that you do too.
Yeah, exactly. That is what I always thought I would be known for. I never thought I would be known as like the seance expert of Canada, like, but it's just what happened, I guess. You don't pick your path sometimes. Yeah. And I guess I am appreciative though of like, I've had a lot of crazy experiences with these groups that like none of us can explain, and you kind of go home and you question like, how is that even possible?
Where do you put yourself in middle of all of this? Like, are you a realist? Do you think that this is possible, or you take it from a scientific background because you are from a scientific background?
So my background is very science based, but I go into with an open mind. So I think I'm dead center. So I think that's why the seances do well, because I'm not skeptic. I'm not a believer. I'm not going to believe everything is a ghost. I'm going to believe not everything is not a ghost. And the thing is, I don't have much stuff happen to me.
Yeah, why stuff doesn't happen to you?
I don't actually have an answer, and I'm happy it doesn't, because I don't know if I would be doing 1,500 seances if it was constantly happening to me. But I find every time I go anywhere, like you can even ask Krista, like her craziest stuff they ever caught was the 2 times I went with them.
2 times?
Yeah, so I went with them twice, and it was almost like a doppelganger where somebody called her name. And she thought it was us, and we weren't even close to her, and we caught it on camera.
Oh yeah, it was a mimic.
Yeah, like a mimic. Yeah. So we caught it on camera, and then like they did one at the barracks, and the same thing happened to her. Like she went to the barracks doing the seance this year, and again somebody called her name, and I'm just like thinking, man, like these people are having stuff happen to me. I'm happy it's not me, but like it's good for my reputation, where like people are like, something happened, but for whatever reason nothing's ever. I think if something constantly happened to me, I don't know if I would be doing that many seances, to be honest. Because, it kind of takes
a lot of toll on you.
It takes a toll on you. And, like, even just being in these awful places, because, like, the barracks is awful. Like, thousands of people have died there. There were rumors of public hangings outside the window. It was an internment camp. It was also social housing. It was a lot of bad places.
Which is the most haunted places that you've been to?
That's a good question. I think, in my opinion, the barracks. The barracks was just, the second I went in, it was awful. Like, the feeling in there was awful, just negative, awful. You didn't want to be there.
What happened there?
So that's where it was an internment camp at one point. It was like social housing at one point. It was originally designed by the British military. So it was also where they recruited during World War I and World War II. They got people like it, and then it was abandoned for a long time. So it's so nice. And also, I forgot to mention when we had typhoid and polio, like the outbreaks in 1947, they actually brought them there as a holding facility. So a lot of people died from that as well.
A lot of people died over there.
So you feel that in there. Like I don't basically feel stuff, but when you're in there, it's awful. Like it does not feel good. Like you don't like being there at night, kind of thing. Like it just does not feel happy. Like it's miserable actually.
And that is where
and that's where the seance was this year. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty mean like that, but it was a good spot for a seance. It was big, 18,000 square feet.
Wow.
So it's massive. So it's 30 rooms, so they could go anywhere they wanted. So it's hard to, with that seance, it was hard to put together in the sense of what areas do you focus on because it's 18,000 square feet. So I kind of went with the groups, and if the groups were like, oh, I feel something upstairs, we focus upstairs. Oh, I feel something in the basement, let's go focus in the basement. But I didn't know what I was doing in it. So it was hard compared to other seances where you don't have as much space.
Otherwise, like the room, there are small houses or rooms or something like that?
Yeah, like they're still mansions, like they're still big, but they're not like this. Like this is like, we did a seance called the Beverly Street Seance at the George Brown Mansion. So George Brown was like pretty much like he was the founder, I think, of the Globe and Mail. He was the founder of the Globe and Mail, and it was like a pretty haunted location. And it was a big mansion, but it wasn't as big as the barracks. Like it was still probably like 6,000 or 7,000 square feet. Like it was huge, but it wasn't like the barracks. The barracks was just so big. It was too big, in my opinion.
Have you noticed that most of these haunted places are in Canada or it is in the US?
I feel Canada's not the best with haunted places. Like I think the government doesn't like to accept hauntings. So what happens, they don't really talk about it. They close it off where the States are really open about it. So like you can go anywhere in the States where here it's hard to get. There's the city of Toronto owns so much property in Toronto, and a lot of them you hear the story like Montgomery Inn. There's all these ghost stories, but like it's not open to the public. It just sits there empty, and they're really like they don't want to talk about ghosts and stuff like that. And where the States, they're so open to it. They care more about the money and bringing in the money, where the Canada's more not. But I wish Canada was a little more open to it. Because, like there's all these cool locations that are just sitting there empty. And even if it's just, the stories of paranormal bringing people in, that's still showing the history of these locations, which I think we're wasting a lot of it.
Yeah. Because Krista was telling me that she went to the Conjuring house.
Yeah.
And there was another house, which I've forgotten the name about. I think it was in Ohio.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. And they said they had a lot of weird stuff happen.
And according to her, she said that house is even more scarier than the Conjuring house.
Yeah, I haven't been, because the Conjuring house has become like this like kind of media thing, if you notice. And I heard the ownerships weren't the best, and there's all these problems and stuff, so I don't know if new ownership's coming in, but there's a lot of politics behind it. So I've never been, I don't have a desire to go, because like there's too much politics around it, and it's too like everyone's done it, And so I find a lot of times it's that you got to find the gem, It's like if you're going to like Conjuring house, it's like everyone's been there, it's like who cares, but like there's all these other places that have all these stories and awful stuff that's what I like, and I like kind of making them more known. But like I feel like I said, the States are so open to this, it's all about money. So if all of a sudden your place is haunted and stuff is happening, all of a sudden they're gonna start renting it out, and they want that, where Canada, no, they don't do that.
When did you exactly get into believing or exploring about paranormal activities in your life?
For the seance, next year would be the 10th year. So how the seance kind of started was it got influenced by the movie, like Stephen King's It. And why I got influenced by that, because I was like, I've been to a lot of Halloween events. They're kind of boring. Like not boring, but it's the same thing. It's just something runs at you. And I'm like, I wanted something that's actually scary, psychological, but actually scary and very psychological, where you might go home, question reality and question everything. And so I was watching It and stuff, and I thought in my head, I was like, I like the idea of like a group of people conquering something evil or conquering something. And that's kind of how the seance got started. And then I randomly started it, and I didn't realize what I had at the time, because when I did the first one, we did one Facebook post. There was 900 comments. It sold out in 2 hours. And I was thinking in my head, I was like, I think I have something here, And then it got such a reputation even the first year. And then I did another year in Ottawa, and then I jumped to Toronto, and it just blew up in Toronto. Like I didn't expect it to blow up so fast or so big. Because we get around 2,500 plus people every single seance, and it's a lot of people for like I'm an independent artist. I'm not like a big company or corporation, but the seance, everyone knows about it in Toronto. They might not know who I am, but everyone knows the seance. Everybody knows about the seance, which is like it's pretty cool. And there's been times where people are like, I'm going to an event and they're handing out flyers for my seance and like, this is amazing. They don't realize who I am. And I'm like, oh, I heard it's good. So that's happened to me a few times. So, but I've never wanted to be famous or anything. So it's good.
Growing up, did you have that kind of an experience ever?
Not really, no. Like I haven't had, that's what I think fascinated me is all these people are having experiences. Why am I not? And so anytime one of my best friends, she used to live like 10 minutes from me, and she had a lot of weird stuff happen to her at her house. So anytime something would happen, she would text me, and I'd be like running right to her house right away, trying to catch it. Nothing ever happened. So I wanted something to happen, but like it just never did.
Have you like in between the age of 16 to 18, have you been to India?
No, not at that time. Like I went when I was younger.
Or younger?
And I was supposed to go, like what basically happened is my brother went right before the pandemic, and then my mom's like, okay, we're going to go every year. And then she ended up getting sick and getting cancer and passing away. Yeah. And so I was taking care of her. So I never got to go when I was older, which I wanted to. So that's kind of the one thing. We're going to go, like my family and stuff, but it's just one regret because I wish my mom was coming with us, because that was the plan. But the pandemic happened, and then she got sick right away, and then she only lived for like a year. So it was really fast and short, and yeah. It's pretty awful, but yeah.
No, India also has a lot of stories and the practices of occult practices.
Yeah, I love it.
And horror.
And
like
I think that's my background. Like, I think that's why I'm so connected to it, is because I think it's my Indian side of me, because they're so superstitious. They believe in so many things. As you were saying, like even the tree story, they say like, this tree is sacred, and all of a sudden thousands of people are worshiping the tree. So it's kind of, I think that's instilled into me just in my DNA. And I think that's what kind of made the seance or whatever I came up with special, because I think that's the part of me, like that's who I am.
Yeah, because before this, like I was talking to Krista also, before that, there are so many interesting stories that we have heard from India.
Yeah.
Where these kind of practices are pretty normal.
But it's normalized. Like,
normalized.
Like it's not like here where, if you're seen as a witch or seen like you're doing something, everyone's like, oh, you're kind of weird.
Yeah.
But in India, no, that's what like everyone does. They're very
Everybody
spiritual.
is superstitious.
Yeah, exactly.
That is number one.
Yeah, because I forgot what city it was, but you remember you were hearing, what was the story about the monkey man?
Monkey man.
So the monkey man became like an Indian phenomena.
Yeah.
In what was it, early 2000s?
Yeah.
Like it was recent, relatively.
Yeah, yeah.
And basically everyone was seeing this monkey man with a helmet, red eyes.
Yeah.
And it didn't make any
jumping buildings,
but it did not make sense because, like, how are people describing the same thing, which is interesting, but no one caught anything? When you have that kind of population, you have that many cameras, how is it not caught? But like we were saying, I think it's the spiritualism they want to believe. You want to believe there's more out there, but I think it's also, mass hysteria can play a bit of it.
I also feel that it has to do a lot of with the ancient history of that place.
And yeah, especially with like, the Indian god, Hanuman.
Like Hanuman?
Like
this is Hanuman.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Okay.
I usually keep this for these kind of conversations when I'm having.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking about India has a lot of ancient history in terms of like it is a very old and sacred land.
And that's what makes it so beautiful, I think.
Yeah.
Because they kind of maintained it. It's always been maintained, and there's like Ram, Lakshman. Like I remember when I was a kid watching all those movies with the arrow. What I'm talking about? Like everyone watched with those like colored arrows. Yeah, or whatever. But like there's so much spiritualism, and I think that's kind of like why I did well here. But I think with India, like they're more. It's not about science a lot of times. It's about like how you feel.
How you feel.
So if you feel a certain thing is a certain way, you're going to eat this.
Yes.
Or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that to a degree, but I think science is also important.
Yeah, which is why like why did you pursue criminology?
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't know what to take at the time. And I always had an fascination with like, why does someone commit a crime? Like what makes someone commit a crime? Why are certain people committing crimes? Like, think of like psychopath serial killers. And so that's what happened. And then it somehow played into my career, which I did not expect at that time, right? They're like hand in hand now, like they're intertwined. So when I'm doing like public shows, it's all like mind reading, profiling, basic interrogation. I'm doing it to the audience and then explaining it, like it's weird that I got 2 careers out of it, not knowing I was going to do that.
Yeah. And one blew off like crazy.
Yeah, I don't have an explanation because the thing was, most artists or independent artists, I think the average salary in North America is like $3,000 a year, and so they don't really make livings off it. And I just got lucky that like I make a good living off it, and I don't know why. Like I don't do. The only thing I would say is I work hard. Like I don't give up. So if I want something, I don't care if someone says no, I'm still going to get it. Like I'm just going to work hard until I get it. And I think that's a common thing with Indians as well. We don't complain ever. We just go do it. And my mom was like that. Even when she was sick, dying from cancer, not one complaint ever.
Wow.
And so I think that's what's been instilled in me is like, there's no excuse. Just go do it, just do it. Just work hard and do it. And I think that's from India as well. Because my dad's side, like he works hard and everything, but my mom's side is where my mom, like she probably went with, when we think about it, she came over when she was 18, which would have been like 40 years ago. There was a lot of racism and stuff compared to now, like way worse back then.
It was worse then?
Way worse, yeah. And so she never talked about it. She never complained about it. She didn't care. She was like one of like the 2 women in engineering, like
that's true.
She never made an excuse. And I think that instilled into me that side of me where it's just like, don't make an excuse, just go do it. If you want to go do a seance, if you want to go do a show, go do it. Stop making an excuse, just do it. And that's kind of how it's always been. Just don't think about it, just do it. And sometimes you get lucky. And so I guess I got lucky in that sense.
Have you had any kind of an experience with your mom after she passed away?
I had 2 things happen. So I don't dream. So what I mean is when I go to sleep, it's just black and I wake up. And when she passed away, it was like a week almost to the day. A week to the time. So she died at 3:07 a.m. and which is witching hour, by the way. Not that it matters. 2 to 4 a.m. is witching hour. But I had a dream that she was in it, and because basically when she passed away, she was like beside me. And so I had a dream where she was like beside me breathing, and it was more of a nightmare. So I don't think it was connected. But I always thought about, because I never dreamed, but I had that almost at 3:07, and I woke up at like 3:10. You know what I mean? Like it was in that time frame. I don't know if it's just trauma or grief. But one of the weirdest things happened was I basically, after my mom passed away, I got a dog because I didn't know how to cope. So I ended up buying a dog named Spirit. And she's a golden doodle, like she's a small dog. And what happened was, the joke was to my mom when I was taking care of her and stuff. She was always like, I'll buy you all the dogs you want if you ever want a dog, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, one day I will. And so I used her money that she gave me when she was passing to buy a dog. But so it was her buying me a dog, which is kind of exciting because, it's just a joke. But when I got the dog, you kind of want like some kind of sign that she's like watching, like she's approves of it. Because she was scared. A lot of Indians are scared of animals because dogs aren't like dogs here. So she was kind of scared of animals. Like she was scared of dogs. So we always wanted a dog growing up. We never got a dog. But so what happened was I got a Spirit. I got her in the car and I was driving, and my friend noticed a place. So it was in Oakville, just a place called Mina's Cleaners or whatever. But it was spelled Meena, how she spells her name. And I've never seen that my whole life. And so my friend thought it was a sign because I was like, I'm talking about 37 years. I've never seen Meena spelled anywhere.
Yeah.
Like anywhere. And so we saw that. And then what happened was Spirit was getting her first surgery. And I got a Jeep. I have a Jeep. I have a nice Jeep. And basically it has like its first, like Apple Auto or Android Auto?
Yeah.
It's like a Jeep version of that.
Okay.
And so I don't use it often, but I use it sometimes when I'm too lazy to plug so it's connected to my phone. So what happened was I bring the dog into the vet. So I bring the dog into the vet and I go back to my car and I sit in my car and I just, I'm sitting and I'm a little worried about it because this is the first time I'm away from her. And I turn on my car and I wait like a second and I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, I hope she's okay. And I'm not even kidding. My Jeep Android goes text message from mom. And it's literally impossible because there's no text message from my mom. It's not on my phone or anything. It literally said text message from mom, and it must have been an old message from something that I got a long time ago. But how is it at the exact time? And my Jeep Auto, I have it on all the time. It's never done that before. It hasn't done it since. And it's not on my phone. So the thing is, my phone is connected to the car, to the Jeep, right? So it goes from my phone to the thing. So why is there no text message from mom on my phone? It's only on the Jeep that came up. How do you freaking now, at the exact time when I was worried about my dog and I just dropped her off for the first time and I sat in my Jeep just thinking, I hope my dog's okay, and text message from mom. And I said it out loud and I thought I was going crazy because I heard it, because it talks to you. So it went text message from mom and I think in my head I'm going crazy. So then I looked at my screen and came up. I took a picture to make sure I wasn't going crazy because I literally thought I was going crazy. How do you explain that?
How do you explain that? But these are little signs I think you get in your life.
But the thing with Hinduism is, they cycle and they got a reincarnation. But if she's in karma, which she would be because she was so selfless, she wouldn't be here. So that's why I'm kind of, But that doesn't mean she can't be there. But I don't believe she's reincarnated because she, like everyone has said, even including myself, she was so selfless. She was so generous. She never complained about anything. So she would be the next level. She wouldn't be reincarnated, is what I believe.
Do you believe in reincarnation otherwise?
I don't know what I believe. Like I was talking to my mom, because I think what happens when you watch your loved one die, like, and I was part of it every single day and getting to experience all this stuff, which is awful, by the way. But I think you get a different perspective on life. So my mom always kind of told me she's not religious, she's spiritual. So even if you become one with nature, that's not a bad thing, you know, because they even believe in Buddhism and even a bit in Hinduism is, you know, a tree is actually a better not superior, but it's a better thing because it doesn't need anything, right? So it becomes one with nature almost. So that whole concept of her, you know, just becoming one with nature, that's, you know, you're born that way and you're kind of going that way. It's not a bad, like, but like, I don't know, like, it's hard to know, right? There's so many different religions, so many different views, and I don't think one's better than the other, but I'm Hindu, obviously, but like when my mom was towards the end, she kept saying, you know, or when I asked, she's like, I'm spiritual, not religious. And so I always like thought about that. Yeah. So yeah, it's weird. But like the Jeep story, I don't like, how do you, and like I said, I have my Jeep auto on all the time, even now, and I haven't had a text message. Like if you sent me a text, it would come up. Yeah. But I haven't had, like, how do you get a text? Another thing I might mention, my mom's phone is disconnected. So how does this number even exist?
And did you see the message?
Yeah, I see it. It just said, can you bring something up or something like.
And it was an old message? It
was an old message that so I looked through my message, and it was a really old message that I found that she sent to me a long time ago. But it's just, how does that go? It doesn't make sense at that exact time. And so I have no explanation for that. And like, you know, Skeptic could be like, the Jeep auto is just coincidence, but the coincidence of the exact time when I sat down, it wasn't like, you know, 20 minutes after the next day. It was literally the second I sat down and turned on my car, 1 minute later. When I was thinking, I remember thinking in my head, oh, I hope she's okay. And then right there.
It's hard to explain these kind of experiences.
No, it is. And like, there's a lot of those at the seance, like the, you know, the Mr. Cuddles, you know, the drag video, which is a negative one, I guess. But there's like, you go there and then, you know, you go home and you kind of go.
What happened in the drag video?
So basically, it was dark, so I didn't see it. Like, we caught it on camera. But basically, some guy just gets dragged and dropped in one of the seances. And it's one of those things where, like, because it went viral, the video, and people are like, no one has an idea how it's possible. Literally, like a horror movie. You know?
You just sent me that. Yeah, did you know that if you... Yeah, we got it.
So the Atlantic House used to be a brothel.
Oh.
A brothel, like a violent brothel. Like, I'm not making this up. Of course, the city doesn't want to talk about that, but yeah, that's what it used to be.
Oh, he just gets pulled
No, he literally, yeah. Like, I don't have an explanation.
That's crazy, man.
But like, so like that, well, like we actually caught it on camera, because the problem with this year is we had 2 ghost groups come into the barracks, and their cameras all died. And then I had cameras, I had issues with the cameras as well. So I don't know if that location, but with that location, I was lucky that the cameras worked a little better, and we caught that. And that was one of the coolest things I've ever caught, where literally you see someone get dragged, and, as you can see, dragged and dropped. And you see like this shadow thing go behind them, and like, I don't have an explanation. Like, I'm like, maybe the chair broke, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know,
that's crazy, man.
And it was in pitch black, so I didn't see it in real time.
Yeah.
But I just heard like how adamant they are about something that just happened to them. And so we've had like stuff like that happen where I haven't caught it on camera, where like it's been in the seance and someone's like, something just pulled me back. Like, and they would like, we get the lights on and they'd be like, you know, say their chair's right here now. They're right there. Yeah. Yeah. And you kind of think, okay, I don't know how, is it them just moving their feet? But with that video.
No, that was no like, way. It was just like somebody really pulled it off.
And there's no one there. Like,
there was nobody there.
Yeah. And then what happened is why it got saved is because the people beside him were holding his hand. So they felt the force, but they held on. So it's crazy. It's intense some nights. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you, like talking about your mind reading stuff, how did you get into that? And would you call yourself a mind reader?
Yeah, so I call myself a mind reader. So I basically give the illusion I can read your mind. That's the best way I can do it. But it's more based on statistics, observation, and how to read people. Like, that's like what I do. So it's not, I'm not using like something where I'm actually physically in your head, but I can give you the illusion I'm in your head.
Okay.
And so how that kind of happened is like I was telling you, is I had trouble connecting with people. So I kind of started noticing patterns on people. And then I turned that patterns into a science. And so it's basically profiling. So you know certain characteristics about people, certain ages of people have different stuff going on in their life, and you're putting it all together to make a story about them. So you're essentially making a story about them. So how I got good at it is I would have people when I was younger send me pictures of someone you knew well. I would write like you almost like a freaking, oh sorry, I didn't mean to swear. I would write you almost like a whole page of description of what I thought the person's like life was. Then I'll say what is right and what is wrong. And then I started noticing. And then now all of a sudden, nowadays people send me pictures of like, you know, people they're going on dates with and stuff like that. And they go, what do you think? And I tell them, and they go, oh, how do you know that? And how do you know that? And I'm never wrong. I don't think I've been wrong, or like I would say I'm right like 98% of the time, I would say. And I'm not I'm not being cocky about it. I think I just notice patterns on
That's
people.
a pretty good number.
Yeah.
Can you read my mind?
Oh, that's gonna be hard. You want to try something?
Yeah, why not?
Is it okay if I grab some stuff?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to recreate a test. That was what I was thinking.
Okay. This is going to be interesting.
Well, I can't guarantee it's gonna work, but we're gonna try our best. Is it okay if I just move this?
I'm doing this for the first time though.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, I got a bunch of envelopes. I was just looking for dark envelopes. So if you hold that up like to the light, you can't really see through it much or anything.
No, I can't.
No. Okay. Perfect.
Black.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna write something on the back of this. Can you see through this?
No.
No. Okay, so what I'm going to get you to do right now is I want you to think of something that you can draw. So don't say it out loud or anything, but I want you to think of something you can draw. So what I'm going to get you to do is I'm just going to get you to write down. So if you're thinking of a tree, write tree.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then turn face down, obviously.
Should I show it on the camera? Or
No, don't show the camera. Okay. You can put it face down, here, pass. I'm just going to put it in there. I'm just going to put this in this envelope. We're going to double seal the envelope. Okay. And you wrote it down and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just something that I just thought of that I could draw, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you could have drawn anything, you could have wrote down anything in this room, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to, what we did is we did an ESP test design at the Duke University in the 1930s. So what would happen is there would be a medium and a person like you, and what would happen is they would think of something, they would write something down, and it would be put in 2 envelopes. The thing is I'm not a medium, so I have to use science to figure this out. So what's going to happen is I'll explain how I do it after if it actually works. So I got you to draw something, you thought of something simple, correct? Because it's something you can draw. I know you're not the best drawer. Would you say that's accurate? Like you're okay at drawing, but it's not like you do it for a living or anything.
No,
like
not a first.
So you're going to think really fast. So the thing is, do not keep a poker face right now. Do not react. Okay. So there's only when you think about it, the science behind this is I'll explain the science more in detail. But I told you could draw something simple. So the only things you can actually draw is like a vehicle, like a car. You drew a car. Just how you reacted. Is it actually a car? Like sorry.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you did. I can't even read your writing. Is that car?
Car.
Yeah, car. You literally, you drew a car. Okay, that was easy. That was easier. I said keep a poker face.
No, but like you.
Okay, so let me explain the song. Okay. So the thing is, let's break this down. So the first thing, step 1, is basically I said I want you to think of something you can draw. I locked you in. Then I said you can draw anything you want after. So to the audience, it looks like you can draw anything you want. You can't draw anything you want. You can only draw something that you can draw. Think of the science right there.
Yeah.
But if we had a public audience right now, you would think, because remember I reframed it at the end saying, oh, you could draw anything you want. You couldn't draw anything you want. You could only draw anything, you could only write anything you could draw, which now limits the things. When you think that all the options you have, when you think about it, is a stick person, a car, right? A tree, a sun or moon, and sometimes a cat or dog.
So these are
the probabilities of what I think you're going to do. So then what happens if you notice what did I do? I eliminate tree by saying it out loud. So I said, okay, I want you to write down. So if you're thinking of tree, write tree. So now tree is gone. Because you're not going to write tree when I just said it.
Oh, you just already said it. Yeah.
So,
I didn't even notice that.
So one of the things, if you want to make someone not pick something, is you eliminate by saying it out loud. So if I told you to think of a number between 1 and 10, like 7, you're never going to think of 7. And so statistically, people think of 7, then 3, then 4. So if I want you to think of the number 3, I would say think of a number between 1 and 10 like 7. You're going to think of 3 or 4. If I want you to think of 7, think of a number between 1 and 10 like 3. You're going to go up to 7.
So you already eliminated tree.
So I eliminated a tree by saying it out loud.
Okay.
So then you only have these options. So you only have 4 options, right?
And that is because based on statistics.
I put you in a box without you realizing you were in a box. And then I reframed it all. So how the reframe works is basically, at the start I say, I want you to think of something you can draw fast. And I rush you. I snap my fingers. I make you think fast.
Very fast.
So now I know you're going to think of one of these. Then I eliminate tree.
Right? Already.
I eliminate tree already.
One is gone.
So tree's gone. So now we only have 1, 2, 3. We only have 4 options.
What was the first one? Stick
person, a car, a sun or moon, or cat and dog. Then what happened is I say I'm going to, so basically then the next line I purposely say is I say you could draw anything you want, correct? So now, because remember I perform on groups of audiences. So now to the rest of the audience, you could have drawn anything in this room. That's not true at all. You could have drawn anything you can draw. You can't draw a printer. You can't draw
No,
this.
I can't.
But because if I now made the probability that big, I would have failed. I literally put you in a box.
Yes.
So there's only 1, 2, 3, 5 things you could essentially draw. Then what would have happened is I would have started naming everything and just see how you react because I'm good at lie detection. So I was waiting for you to blush and smile. You did it right away when I said car. So your lip went up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me, because I should, so I knew it was car. But if you didn't respond on car, I would have kept going. I would have said all of them, and I would have just watched your face.
Interesting.
And you would have given it away.
I would have.
And then I would have known, okay, it's a sun or moon. You react. I know it's one of the two. I'll be like, you're not thinking of, and then I would have just kind of guessed. If cat or dog, I would have guessed. But like, we got lucky, got car. But statistically, cars, so that's the science behind how that works. But it's interesting how it worked.
But my question is how do you know statistically people are going to choose between these?
So how this came up with is I did it a million times when I was younger. So I did this. I just went up to people and said, I want you to think of a simple drawing or draw a simple drawing. Then I wrote it all up in a map. So I got like 5,000 people to do it. And then I noticed, okay, these are the most common ones. So I know these.
And car was one of them?
Car was one of the most common ones. Trees another very common one. And the thing is, what would have happened, so think of the dual reality, or like the concept of this, is if at the start you were thinking of a tree, and I said, you're thinking of a tree, you would have freaked out before even writing it down.
Yeah.
And that would have been a pretty big hit.
Pretty big hit.
Yeah. So you see how it can go in different directions a bit?
Yeah.
So like this could have ended up being a lie detection game. Because if I didn't know what it was, you see what I mean? I would have been going down this thing. I would have been trying to figure out, reading your face language to kind of figure it out. But your face language gave it away on car. I know how people react. Your lip went up and everything. And I even told you, keep a poker face.
I know. I'm so bad at it.
Yeah. And you just right away.
Like, wow.
Okay. So, and it was just fluke. I said car first because I always say tree then car, but I eliminated tree. So
in my
So how I want to know like the thought process in your brain. So when I told you think of something, like did anything change? Like were you thinking of anything else?
Because I can draw car.
Yeah.
And since childhood, I've been drawing cars.
Perfect.
So I couldn't even think about a tree. I couldn't think about the dog.
And because notice I didn't give you time to think.
You didn't give me. So that was the first
That's why
snap.
that snap.
Yeah.
So basically the thing is with this kind of stuff, if I give you time to think, all of a sudden you're going to draw something in this room. I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Because if you all of a sudden wrote like booklet or something, how am I going to figure that out?
If you see, there are cars a lot.
And there are cars all around us, which help me actually. But if you, for example, wrote owl, there's no way I'm going to figure that out. So like with that, I have to rush you. So one of the things with manipulation, like with like interrogation, is if you're trying to rush someone, you got to be more calm about it. If you don't want to rush someone and not want them to change their mind, you go after them harder. So for example, this was a good example where I knew I didn't want you to think much. So I said, I want you to think of anything. I want you to think of anything you can draw. Do you have something? Notice it was still fast, but it wasn't me pushing you.
Yeah.
But if I wanted you to really think about it and kind of challenge me, I would have been like, I want you to think of something, you have something fast. Now me going after you hard makes you actually become defensive. See, so it depends what I want you to do.
Okay. So,
but in this case, I wanted you to kind of go fast without thinking. So I didn't rush you too hard, but I rushed you enough. But if I did over the top, all of a sudden you're like, screw you, and you're going to start thinking. You just kind of see, so it's a game.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think from doing this, 5 million times and kind of doing it for 30 years, it looks natural, but it's not. Like, you see how I broke it down, though, how it worked. And trust us, go ask your friends, or when you have people on positives, I want you to think of a simple drawing, what is it? And ask them what they would say. Most of them are going to say this stuff.
So you think anybody can do this?
I think if they're willing to sacrifice their whole life and practice like 8 hours a day, yes. Which I unfortunately did. I have no other life other than this, but yeah.
But this is doable. Like it is.
It is.
It is mostly because you have practiced it so much
that it looked like that. Did that look second nature? Like did it just look like I wasn't even thinking?
No.
Yeah. So when I started this, I was probably stressed. So I was probably struggling. I was probably kind of like learning. But I think like the thing, and I think this is the same viewpoint of intuition. I believe people. Like, people say intuition is from a different thing. I believe intuition is just from experience.
Yeah.
So my intuition is so natural with this because I've done it 5,000 times. Right? So it's almost like a musician. A musician plays so many hours. It looks so natural. It seems so free-flowing, but they probably play 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And so I think it's the same with this. I know it's a different kind of field, but I think why it looks so clean and stuff, where if I did this 10 years ago, it might not have been this accurate.
Have you had interactions with any criminals and reading their minds and body language to take out the truth?
So basically what would happen is detectives would hire me to train them, and they would show me some of the stuff which I can't really talk about much because I don't know if I'll get in trouble or not. But so I have been like to help them kind of profile and stuff, but I haven't like been in an interrogation room or anything. But I remember getting tested a long time ago, and what was interesting? Can I share this?
Yeah.
So the test was basically, so this was from a company that like basically think of Doctors Without Borders, but like a Canadian version of that, and they've won every award from the Canadian government. They're in Syria a lot. Okay. They a lot of their doctors, a lot of them have died actually being in Syria and stuff. So they're in like tough situations. And he basically sent me a picture, and what was the picture? It was a train, and it was a person standing there, and he kind of was not dressed that well, and he had a nice watch. And he's like, do you notice, like, is there anything about this picture that stands out to you? And this was his test. And I basically said, that stupid watch is getting me. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense. He dresses like a freaking homeless man, but why does he have such a fancy watch? Like, what is the watch? And then he replied back and said, you picked up something all the detectives couldn't pick up. Literally, the watch was because he was timing bombs in England.
Bomb?
Like for a terrorist threat. And so that was his test to see if I would pick that up, and I did. And he said I was the only one that picked it up with all his other detectives and all his other friends. No one picked it up other than me. And he said it was just crazy how I noticed it, because remember I was telling you with profiling, you're looking for what's out of place. So with interrogations, with reading people, you're always looking for what's out of place, especially with lie detection. It's it's almost like the overcompensating, just something's off. So if someone's dressed like a complete homeless person, but they have a $10,000 watch on, does that make any sense to you? So then that's what the issue was in that case. So I passed his test, and then he ended up, I was training him because he got his master's in Harvard, which is pretty crazy. And so I was helping him, and he was going through, I remember him like the greatest letter of reference I ever got was from him, because he basically got his master's at Harvard, and he wrote in the reference that he was going through severe PTSD at the time because of all the dead stuff. And he said, like, he had the best memory in his class because of my training. And I was like, I always remembered that. Like, I have that framed on my wall, because, like, that's a big compliment getting something from that guy who's, like, he's a war hero, in my opinion. And, he sacrificed his life. He's still around, but he's, like, he's put his life on the line. He's lost a lot of people just helping people, just helping people, making sure they're okay. So getting getting a letter of reference like that, and just saying, like, how, like, my stuff he literally wrote in the reference, like, my techniques that I've taught him has saved lives. And I'm like, I haven't done anything, but like, to get that kind of compliment, there's no better compliment.
Of course.
Yeah. So
do you think like, with a little bit of a practice,
I do.
People can learn these techniques?
I think it takes a lot of practice, because there's so many subtleties to it.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to do it, I believe you can. Like, everyone always tells me, oh yeah, you're just born with this gift. No. I spent, 8 hours every single day since I was 6.
Okay.
And so it looks natural and stuff. And I believe anyone can do it if they want to do it. I believe anyone can do anything they want if they want to do it. But I also believe people have certain gifts they got to discover. So maybe I'm just naturally good at reading people, and that's like a little advantage, where, like, you might be better at something else, and that's you know what I mean? Like, it's
of course.
But I don't. That doesn't mean you can't do this.
This is also a very good life skill.
Yeah.
Like detecting somebody's lying or not. It is a very day-to-day kind of a...
Yeah, so lie detection is very interesting, because there's two things you're looking for. You're looking for the overcompensation, and you're looking for the break-up pattern. So let's go through both of them. So the break-up pattern is essentially, if my feet are crossed like this the whole time, then all of a sudden I do this. Because my brain is now thinking of the lie, so I'm more likely to break my legs. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
So you're too focused on the lie, so you do something that you don't want to do. If I'm twitchy like this the whole time, and then all of a sudden I stop, there's a reason I stopped. So that's what the break pattern is. So you're looking for that, which is, it could be very subtle. It could just be like your lip moving.
Or even just like, they say that when somebody's lying, you touch your nose.
Yeah, and the reason they're touching their nose is because they're so focused on the lie.
Is it?
Right, because when you're focused on the lie, that's when your body doesn't do what it's supposed to do, if that makes any sense. And so the best liars are the ones that believe the lies are true.
Oh.
So that's if you want to get good at lying, you have to believe the lie. You have to actually believe the lie is true. And so, like, you also hear about, like, they used to always use those tests. When we're in court, like, they put the test. What's the test called? With the machine.
Lie detection.
Lie detection test. But like, we found out with studies, it's only 50.5% accurate, right? So it's like a flip of a coin. It's not really accurate. So it's never been accurate. But, like, one of the rule of thumb with that is you just put a pin in your shoe and you step on it every time you ask the question. So the pain makes you not think. So that's how you feel the test.
Yeah, I think there was some kind of a demonstration that you also did, that people had the needle stick in and they couldn't feel the pain.
Yeah, so basically what was that is, so like that's hypnosis. So the interesting thing about there's so many I forgot about that whole area. So hypnosis.
You can even hypnotize
and suggest. Yeah, so hypnosis.
Like, you can also make me forget my own name.
I've done that before, like on TV actually. The thing with that is though, is it's coming, so it's not going to work. So how the forgetting name works is the principle. It's startling. So what it is if I punched you in the face, but I also hit you with a sledgehammer, you're not going to notice the punch in the face because the sledgehammer hit you heavier. So that's what the forgetting name is. I'm startling you. So I literally, when we were recording that, what you would do if you went to a hypnotist show, you would do a suggestion test. So you do something like this. You see who's reacting the most, and you would pick those people because they're all going to work. I don't like doing that stuff. I just go in and try it. So my success rate for the forgetting name without the suggestion test is around 30%. So if I went outside and we got 10 people, I can make 3 of them forget their name, which is pretty crazy. But if I did a suggestion test, all of a sudden it's like 90 to 100%.
What is this?
So what you would do is you would say something like, I want you to imagine your hands are getting warmer, they get so hot that your hands are burning. Then you're looking at the audience and see who's reacting. Whoever reacts, you bring them on stage because you know they're going to be perfect for hypnosis.
Oh.
So if you ever watch a hypnotist show, they bring 10 people on stage and they kick off a bunch of them. That's what they're doing.
Okay.
So they're basically finding the person who's going to react.
Oh.
Where me, I don't care about that. I just bring one person up and good luck. If it fails, it fails, whatever. And so,
interesting.
But like the easier way is to do the suggestion test and then do the forgetting name. But what I like about the forgetting names is startle. Why it works is because you don't see it coming. So all of a sudden, the snap in your face is distracting. The other thing I forgot to mention is I had perfume on my hands, so you get hit with the smell. So you get hit with the smell, you get to that, and I touch your shoulder, and I actually put pressure here. So when I'm doing all this stuff, you get startled for a second. It's almost like you just forget for a second, and then it comes back. It's almost like
Blanking out.
Yeah, it's almost like a good example is like there's times with parents where they're like, they're doing their work and their kid's talking, and they don't even pay attention to the kid.
Yeah.
Same principle.
Oh.
And it works for pickpocketing as well.
Okay.
So pickpocketing is the exact same principle. It's like you're hiding the big reaction with the small one. It's not about the technique of how you pickpocket. It's about the big reaction hiding the small one. So if I ask you right now, like, what is your name? When you're thinking of your name, that's when I'm pickpocketing you, because your brain is being my misdirection. I need a misdirection of the brain. It's not about the body; it's the brain. So I need to ask you a weird question. I need to get you to do something so you're thinking about that, and that's when I pickpocket you.
Give me some ideas, like give me some quick ways to recognize that a body language, and if somebody's lying, if you can.
Oh yeah, so I also forgot. Okay, back to that. Sorry, I forgot about the overcompensation element.
Overcompensation.
So you remember there's two elements. Not the misdirection. There's the overcompensation. We were talking about the other one. Now we're talking about the overcompensation. So overcompensation is basically why are they going over the top on it? So a good example is language. So if I said I did not have sex with Monica Lewinsky versus I didn't have sex with Monica Lewinsky, which one's the lie? It's the I did not. Why did they have to go over the top on it? So if you ask your partner, did you cheat on me? And they go over the top and go, I did not do this. They're most likely lying because they're overcompensating. Like, why do you have to overcompensate? Because they're trying to deflect it onto you. Okay. So you're always looking for that overcompensation. So you're looking for that big reaction or the big thing because that's most likely the lie. So if I'm asking you a question, then all of a sudden you freak out at me, that's a lot of times when they're lying.
Is it?
Yeah. So you're looking for the breakup pattern and the overcompensation. So you're looking for both. So like a good example is like they say with NLP is when you look to the upper right, it's the lie. So if I'm asking you questions and you're thinking of a lie, you look upper right. If you think of your memory stuff, you're looking upper left. None of that, in my opinion, worked. Like from my experience, I can't get it to work. I haven't noticed, but what I did notice is the breakup pattern on that. So if you're always looking to the upper left and then you flip to the right, there's more likely you're lying about something. Versus if it doesn't matter which way, so you could do the upper right the whole time and you flip to the left. It doesn't matter which way, but the breakup pattern is what matters to me. So I don't care about the NLP aspect. I care about the breakup pattern. And then the overcompensation, you're going over the top. So a lot of narcissists, what they do, so if you're trying to spot a narcissist, is they flip it on you. So if I ask, are you cheating on me? And they just flip it onto me, why would you flip it onto me So that's what you're kind of looking for in lie detection. And then like with handwriting, like we could do something on it later. With handwriting, a lot of times you can tell when they're lying in the handwriting. It's easier for me personally.
It's easier to...
Yeah, because you're looking for the slant and the kind of like the more emotion. Like it's, for me, I can tell what's made up and what's not. Like,
Can you do that on me?
Okay, is it okay if I grab some stuff?
Yeah,
just because I want to, we'll do it. Okay, so what I'm going to get you to do first is I want you to write the name of someone or something that means something to you. So it's got to have a meaning to you. Like it's very important, it has to have a meaning to you. So it could be like your brother's name. It could be like a pet's name. It does not matter what, but you have to have some kind of meaning towards it. It can't be made up.
Okay.
So I'm going to get you to write the name and turn it over. Sounds good?
Yeah.
And so however you write, you're going to write the exact same way every single time with every single paper. So if you write on the table, write on the table every single time. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Just because you'll see why in a second.
So I just have to write the name of a person
that means something to you. Like it can't be made up. It can't be it has to have some kind of meaning. And it could be like it doesn't matter what it is, but make sure it has a meaning or it's not going to work.
Okay.
Okay, turn it over, put it on the table. So now what I'm going to get you to do is you're going to make up 4 names. But
make up.
Yeah, make up the names have no meaning to you at all. But the thing is, if like for example, say you put a pet name there, make sure they're all pet names. Does that make sense? So it's not obvious. Okay. So but do one at a time. The reason is I want the writing to be the same. It's because if you write on 4 of these, it might be different. Okay. Does that make sense? Kind of. So you're gonna do just do 4 names. I really hope this works. I'm rusty. Okay, so put them all on the table and just mix it up really fast. So I don't know. Perfect. Okay, good. I wasn't really looking to be honest. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is is it okay if I just start turning these over?
Yeah.
So that's 2 over the top. Okay, so is Malu? Is that the truth one? It's this one.
Yeah.
Like that was easy. Okay, so the first thing. Okay, so
Do you want to take a picture of this?
this is so easy. Like, come on, man, you made it so easy. Okay, I'll explain it now.
No, that's fine. I mean, you were able to catch it like in no
Yeah.
time.
Okay, so there's a few things that stand out. So the first thing is because the person, when someone's important to you, you're going to a lot of times capitalize it and make it bigger and bold. Notice this is the only thing that's everything is basically capitalized. Everything else is bit, but they're all handwriting. You see that?
Okay.
You see how everything else is handwriting but that one. Why? Because you're constantly thinking of them because they're important to you. So you want it to be right dead center. Notice also this is dead center. These are a little off. Also, I just got to see the line. So you see this is straight. This goes up. This is kind of straight. And then this goes up. This was too, I knew this was a lie because you put a line under it. It's too overcompensating. Overcome. So I knew this was eliminated. This was really easy because it was literally, you made it the easiest thing because you made it the easiest thing because you literally, it's the only one you didn't handwrite. And the reason is because other ones, you're making up names, you're not thinking about it, subconscious. But the thing in handwriting detection, so what would happen is if you're telling me your interrogation story and all of a sudden you write like this, I know which parts are lies and which parts are true because why is it different writing and why is it all different? You didn't know that because
I didn't know that. But this is a very interesting take that, like, if if we are really, whatever the question that you asked me, and I want to talk about that person, I will always write clearly. Is it?
See? But that's just a common thing with writing. And the other thing is if you notice most of the names, they're kind of like wobbly. Right? They're wobbly, but Malu isn't.
So basically, all the other are just handwriting. They're just like I'm writing some stuff up.
Yeah, but the other thing I want to oh, sorry, I'm just trying to show you some of this stuff. The other thing I noticed, so how slants work. So basically, the more pulled back. So pulled back means if I did this R, it'd be like this. Does that make sense? Versus this. Mm-hmm. So the more pulled back to the left, that's the less emotional you have. The more to the right, you're more emotional. So a lot of the serial killers and a lot of psychopaths, their actual writing's pulled back or they're over emotional.
Okay.
So when they're talking about their victim, though, when they say their name or say the thing about it, it'd be pulled back. So the thing with this is notice there's no pullback on this one.
So it's anti-slant, like slant.
Yeah, slants, exactly. So if you think of this as normal.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna write it in 3 different ways so you know what I'm talking about. So then.
Okay. So one is backward, one is forward.
Yeah. So the thing is with these ones are more pulled back. Like it's subtle, but like if you look. But you see how like the slant. So what I mean by slant. You can speak. Yeah. Okay. So you see what by slant, like how someone's pulled back. So like this is pulled back. That's pulled back. That's pulled back. That's pulled back. That is not. That's just dead center.
Dead center.
So there is a subtle difference in that as well. So that's why this one was so obvious for me, because like literally, you literally printed the only one, and then I knew you remember I was talking about overcompensation. So I know Ritu was gone.
Ritu,
was gone because you put a line under it. So there's no way that would be the person. Right? There's no way. So that was eliminated right away.
They're all persons, by the way.
Yeah, they're persons, but they're not like a connection to you person.
No, they are all connected.
But not like that.
No, of course.
That's what I'm saying.
moment.
So if you like were writing a story and saying who's the one that you're like in love or like close to, I would have picked that one. Malu.
Wow.
So, but you see what I mean? These are all pulled back. Their thing where that is like dead on, dead center. You know, the space equals almost the same. Where none, you know what I mean? Like everything is just kind of giving it away. Because you got to kind of think of space, like with handwriting analysis, the paper is essentially the life. So if someone like always writes like her, so if they're always writing, like say they write their sentences and they always end early, you see how they end early? That a lot of times says they don't complete tasks because they don't go to the end.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of little things like that. And like my training in handwriting analysis is from, she like did it with the, it was a while back, but she did it with the FBI and stuff as an analyst. So she's read a lot of like even the Zodiac, I think. And so she had a master's course in like Iceland or something. So it wasn't accredited, but I didn't care. I took the course. And that's how I got trained in it.
Oh, wow.
And so like I don't use it often. Like I use it sometimes, but not as often. I'm rusty right now. But like you saw, like how clear that's clear as day. Like when I actually explained what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
but so
I'm still in a little bit of a shock.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, and then this one like was the most obvious. Like,
But these are such a little subtle things that somebody has to catch.
yeah, but
and
like
need to have an
now that I
answer.
explain it, you go, wow, it's obvious.
Yeah, now it is obvious.
Because like literally, Molly was the only name you did not do any cursive on.
Yeah.
Like it's the only different one. If you actually look in just if you kept it simple, just the cursive sense. And I didn't say write cursive. I said keep it the same. Like it wasn't me.
In my mind, I think I was writing all the same.
Which isn't, but that's how handwriting analysis works. That's how you catch it. Because people don't know what to look for in handwriting analysis. They think, oh yeah, it's because of how you write your art. No, none of that matters. What you're actually looking for, if you're trying to spot a psychopath, is the over emotion to the right, but also something called the maniac T. So if I wrote God, you see how it's curved? So I don't know if you see that, but if I wrote the word God, you see the D is curved. I don't know if you. Okay, the D is very curved. That's called the maniac D. So the joke about that is you always avoid those people because they're most likely psychopaths.
Let's talk a little bit about relationships.
Yeah.
Like how can people make sure that they're in a good relationship or in a bad relationship?
So I think with that stuff is everyone has a person if they want a person, but like I think a lot of people aren't happy in their relationships personally. I think a lot of people settle and stuff. So it's one of those things where, yeah, I can tell you if they're lying or not, but it's like if you think the fact you think they're lying does not mean maybe I'm not saying not go with them, but if you're questioning that kind of stuff, you don't have a strong foundation.
Can people catch somebody?
1,000%. Like I've helped people catch for fun, and like it always came true. Like they were cheating and stuff.
It has happened in front of you?
Not in front of me, but we caught the proof that we needed. Because like what would happen is I would say, send me your text messages. And then when I'd read the text message, I would be analyzed. I'd be like, this is not true. This is not true. This is not true. And then they would question, they would catch them.
And you're talking about text messages which has no handwriting.
Yeah, because text messaging is interesting because you're looking for, again, the break of patterns. Like you're looking for the language. You're looking for like the overcompensation. It still works. It's not as good as this, but it's still like if I'm trying to catch you on a lie, it's easier for me to get it when you're writing. But I can still find stuff in your text messages.
If you really want to be sure somebody's lying or not, I think this is the best test when
that's
you're writing.
And that's the other thing is this, it's not 100%, but this also tells you if you love someone. So if you were with someone and you didn't know this and I said, write the name of your significant partner. And like, I'm not doing like this thing. And then I said, make up 4 names. I can tell in that how much you actually think of the person.
Can you make it out? Like how much do I think about that person?
Well, you think a lot because I think you do. But I think you think a lot just how you wrote it. Do you? You better.
Yeah, she's my wife.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. But
I bet.
you better, yeah. But what I'm saying is, in a sense of, say, you can tell if someone likes someone or not from it. So what I mean is, say someone's iffy about the relationship and I didn't know, I would say, can you write their name on this paper? I'll be like, okay, I want to try a mentalist thing with you. Even though I'm not. I'm literally telling if they like it. So I'll get them to write that and I'll do the exact same thing. Because then if that name is not like these or anything, it kind of says you don't care. Because why do you not care? Like, why is that not different than the other ones? That means in your mind, you're not thinking differently about them. Because the thing is, even if that was smaller, that's still different.
Very
You kind of see what I'm saying?
I understand.
So it's actually
now.
a good test. We should test people that we don't know if their relationships are going to last or not. And be like, can you write the name of your significant partner? And then say, can you write 4 names of your friends or something? Or like people or other girls at, like if you're saying you're cheating, other girl names and see what happens. Because then you might know, so you could almost maybe pick up which one's the cheat, like the one. Yeah.
This is the best way to pick up who's.
It doesn't always work, but it does. Like I don't want to give false accusations or anything. But the thing is, if someone's coming to me about this stuff, they already have problems.
That's true.
And that's what I believe. So like, and the other rule of thumb is I always tell my close friends is once you're with someone, I'm not going to tell you what I think of them. So if you meet someone and you're with them right now, I'm going to tell you. I'm never going to tell you because you're with them. I don't want to influence that. Yeah. But then at the end, when they're like, oh yeah, I broke them, this, I'm like, yeah, I know. Because I remember there was this one story and she wasn't like a close friend, but she was a friend. Like she is still a friend. And what happened is she sent me a picture of this guy she's with. And I'm like, he's 100% cheating on you. And she's like, oh no, he's not, blah, blah, blah. And then like 3 months later, she's like, Jaymes, you were right. I'm like, what happened? And she's like, he was married. And
oh my God.
And I was like, well, I told you. And then, you know, like you chose not to believe me. And that's why I realized at that point, I was like, I'm not just going to interfere with this stuff. Because they don't want to hear that. They want to hear, oh yeah, he's a great guy or he's a great girl. They don't want to actually hear if I actually think, and I'm not wrong about that. Like, I'm not being arrogant, but I'm not, like, this is what I'm trained to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
but this is something this is one of the techniques to do it, but there are multiple techniques.
There's a million techniques.
Okay. So why don't we do this, James? Like I was talking to you about this earlier also. I want to make a separate segment altogether where we are just talking about mind reading.
Yeah. Certain elements.
Certain elements, what people can actually learn from that and implement in their lives.
Yeah, because like I feel like this stuff's important. Well, it's important for me. And one of the most important things for me that changed my life was memory. Because I have a better than eidetic memory. So it's like a
eidetic memory is photographic memory.
Yeah, but the thing is they can't do things in and out of order. I can. So if you see a book, they have to do it in order. You could tell me what is the third thing in the book, and I can tell you it. I can and it's because I have a trained memory. So what it is. So is it okay if I?
Yeah, of course.
So how memory basically works is people think you're just born with a good memory. It's not really true at all. So Aristotle came up with this principle, and what he did was whenever someone said something smart in his class, he would slap them in the face. The reason he would slap you in the face is because you would remember the last thing you said when you got slapped in the head. And so what happened is you can't obviously slap people no more. So what he did is he basically made it modern. Like you take these concepts and you make it modern. And how it works is basically if you see someone walking down the street, you're not going to remember them. But if you see them walking down the street and they're holding like a wolf or an octopus or something, you're always going to remember that person. So the thing is you got to see ridiculous pictures in your head. If you see ridiculous pictures in your head, you're never going to forget it. So with names and stuff. So if the person's name was Jason, you remember like a Jason mask on their head. Does that kind of make sense? And you got to see the picture in your head and you're never going to forget anything.
Okay.
And there was a concept, I think also a lot of people talk about the memory palace. So how the memory palace works is you have, let's say, a house. So you know this house really well. And then you have like different areas of the house and you place stuff into those areas. And then so when you look in your head, you see the picture of wherever that area is. Does that kind of make sense? Mm-hmm. So what I use is something called a peg system, which is the same but different. So what it is I have, how numbers work is I see pictures as numbers. So it's called the phonemic alphabet, I think. And basically what it is like each number, like I guess we can break it down later, but each number has a sound. So for me, like the T sound is always the number one, vowels don't matter. So I always think of a tie when I think of number one. So what I do is think of it as I have 100 different words that mean stuff on a wall. And then what happens if you tell me the 22nd thing is this, I place that number 22. Then I place it that. So then I have everything in and out of order in my head. I know it's hard to explain without breaking it down, but just think of it as like 100 pegs on the wall. So I know these places, I know every single one. And then you say, okay, the camera's going to be the second thing. This phone's going to be the seventh thing. All of a sudden in my head, it's in order because they're all the same place.
Right.
And so that's why I can do stuff in and out of order pretty easily.
Okay.
So does that kind of make sense a bit?
It does.
Because the numbers you can't see as pictures, so you have to see them as pictures. So you have to come up with words.
It's just like, associating a picture with that particular...
Yeah. And so like one of the original techniques for memory they always tell you when you're a kid is like, oh, if you always forget to do something, like put something on the floor that's out of place. So put a pen on the ground. So when you see the pen on the ground, it reminds you to go do something. So it's kind of, that's a similar principle, but I kind of use it more with the brain. So
people can use this kind of technique?
For everything, like it's changed my life, like in the sense of like even just going to meetings and stuff and remembering everyone's names. Or like a lot of times, when people were in law school and stuff, they would, like friends, they would message me and they'd be like, I'm having trouble with this paragraph to memorize. And then I would take the paragraph and just break it down to them in a system. So let's say the paragraph's like, a huge paragraph, we'd break it down into 6 words and then they would just link one word at a time. And then all of a sudden they had it memorized within 20 minutes.
This could be a great way for somebody who is going for an exam.
1,000%. This is why I got full scholarship to university and everything.
You got full scholarship?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Because of my memory. It was not because I'm smarter than everyone. It's because my memory.
And you built up a pattern. How do you learn?
Yeah. And I have a system and I've taught it at universities. I teach a lot of times the PhD students actually take it as a seminar. And they all love it. They all love it. And then how it got originally started was lawyers were taking it. So lawyers wanted my memory, and it makes sense for them,
of course.
And then what happened? Then it went to university, and then some detectives started taking it, and they all love it. It's because I can guarantee you, with one session, your memory is going to be better than what it was. But if you stick with it, and it's like 5 or 6 minutes a day, and you do this stuff when you're going on the bus, or you're just not doing you don't have to sit down and designate time to do it. You just do it in your day-to-day life. So you go, okay, I'm going to make my grocery list. So I'm going to write it out. I'm going to do the memory thing that I did, and see how much I do. You see what I mean? But you just got to keep doing it. For me, it's second nature now.
Yeah. You said me once that it takes around 5 to 6 hours for you to have a little bit of an understanding how does photographic memory works.
Yeah. So if I had 5 sessions with you, like once a week, I think I could get you that level.
Really?
Yeah. With my seminars, every single person, so it's a 2-hour seminar, and every single person has said their memory is better than when they started. And these are PhD students. And because they just understand the concept now, like, and I break it down, we go simple, we do examples, I show them techniques, and all of a sudden you'll have something. And if you want to apply it, like, trust me, if you come to my seances, everyone thinks it's crazy, or if you come to my shows, because I know everyone's single person's names. You have 20 or 30 people in a seance, I know everyone's names right away. Like, I say your name, nice to meet you, and I have everyone's name.
That is a very good
and everyone's
skill.
always impressed, and they're like, man, he must know everyone in the audience. I don't know everyone. I just got your name and said, yeah.
How do you memorize names though? Like, what is
So
the
what you
technique
got to do is you got to sort of picture on your face. So I think I've been screwing up your name, right? What is it? It's either Samit or it's with S, right? What am I thinking? Gaurav? Yeah. You know what it is? For you, why I'm screwing that up is because I have a friend named Gaurav and his brother's named Sorav. And I think it's just throwing me off because even when I was looking down at that, I was thinking Gaurav. Like, I know so. And I think that's why. So I didn't associate the picture with you. So sorry, what's your name? Gaurav. So Gaurav. So what I would do is I would actually see my friend Gaurav as him.
Okay.
So now I'm never going to forget your name because I didn't spend time memorizing it. Does that kind of make sense? You got to spend that 2 seconds to block it in. So I didn't do it there. But because it depends when you want to use it. So if I'm doing a show, I'm associating to something on them. So I might associate the watch to the picture. So if your name was Jason, I would associate like the mask of Jason onto the watch. But the problem with that is if you're not wearing the watch, I'm not going to remember your name.
Or something else.
Yeah, or something else. So if they have a tattoo, it's the easiest.
Yeah.
If they have like a distinct like something on them, it's the easiest. But it depends what you want to do. For me, in a seance, I only need it for the seance. But if I'm seeing them every day at work, I need it that if they change clothes and stuff, I still need to know who they are. So I would associate something that doesn't change, like their face, or find something on their face like a pimple or something.
Okay.
You got to find something distinct. You can't
Something
just do the
distinct.
face. It has to be distinct.
And you name that particular.
Yeah. So you break down. So if the name was. Like I need say there's a name that you don't have a picture to, like Gaurav. I can see my friend as Gaurav. So I had a friend in high school, like in middle school and stuff named Gaurav, and he was like taller and he was kind of weird. So like I kind of see him in you, and now I'm not gonna forget it. But what I would do is if you got a name, so if you give me a name like
Gagan.
Like which one?
This.
Gagan. So I don't know any Gagan. So I would have to break it down. So what I would do is I would think of Gaga. So like like Freddie Mercury, like I don't know if you know.
Or Lady Gaga.
Or let's use Lady Gaga. So I'll think of you as Lady Gaga eating nachos to hit the N at the end. Gagan. So that's how I see it. So I'll see a Gaga. So I'll see you as Lady Gaga right now eating nachos.
That's how you.
The more ridiculous, the more you're going to remember. So then all of a sudden, Gagan's going to be stuck in my head.
Interesting.
It has to be ridiculous. But you see how I broke it down because I didn't have it. So like some ones are easy. Like if you saw. The name I can't even think of another name right now. But John, you can imagine the guy's head being dunked in a toilet like a John, right? Because it's ridiculous, and you got to see it in your head.
Okay, so you have to think about something bizarre that you remember.
It has to be bizarre, or you're never going to remember it.
Interesting.
That's the challenge a lot of people have is that if they're not creative thinkers. You have to just think over the top.
And in this kind of an exercise, you will explain people how to think creatively also, right?
Yeah, we focus on that like heavily because it's not hard to be creative, but everyone's creative is different. Like some people think violence is so awful, so they use violence and they don't forget it. Where some people might use violence and they forget. Everyone has their own thing. You got to find what that is.
Okay.
So for me, it's just ridiculous. So it's just weird stuff is kind of what I'm doing. So like, and you just spend 1 or 2 seconds, you see the picture in your head, you're not going to forget it. I can guarantee you that.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, even though I give a bad example with you, but like I didn't lock it. Wasn't. And do you have a Samit?
Samit?
Yeah.
Samir, I have.
That's what threw me off. It's because I thought you were the same person I was talking to on on Gmail or whatever. Remember that you said
Sumit.
Yeah.
Sumit. Yeah.
So I thought you were Samit. That's why I kept saying it. Because you remember you said Samit.
Yeah.
So I thought he was. Yeah. I didn't know because I don't think. That's why it threw me off. That's actually what happened.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah. So the names you just associate the picture to them.
Okay.
It's obviously much more complicated than that, but it's not.
So interesting, man. I mean, I'm so excited to have this whole one podcast just about memory, how to sharpen your memory, how to remember names.
And we can break it down into a course.
Yeah, we can break it down to the core. Amazing, man. This is like one of the best episodes
really?
in terms of, that I have learned so much.
Yeah. The stuff works. I just show people because you hear stuff and you're like, oh, there's no way. But Like it's so obvious when you see it now, if that makes any sense.
I want to call. Maybe I'll just start calling you Sherlock Holmes from now.
Yeah, you can if you want, I guess.
You can detect now.
Oh yeah.
And I think anybody who's watching this and have a little bit of an understanding that how does this stuff work, they will start instinctively looking into these kind
and
of things.
And then all of a sudden they come with their own pattern because they might not be interested in the same stuff I am. But if even if they message me or they message you and message me and said, "Oh, I'm really interested in how to tell someone's line," I could direct them into the direction of what they want, if they want, especially if they're Indian. No, I'm kidding. I should not said that.
We are just pretty much towards the end. I was talking to you behind the scenes about your T-shirt.
Yeah.
What about that?
So basically, I have a pet wolf from Romania, like legit.
Okay, let's slow it down.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a dog. He has a pet wolf.
It is true. I have an actual wolf she's from Romania. She's 10 months old, and she's like the sweetest girl ever, my dad. So her name's Tria. So I named her after my mom. So like our warrior class in India is the Kshatriya, like castle and stuff. So I thought Tria would be a nice name, just the end of that. And she's the sweetest dog I've ever had, but she's a wolf. Like,
she's a wolf.
If you see her, she's a wolf. How she acts as a wolf. The thing with her is like she's very sweet and caring, so I'm lucky in that sense. But I spent a lot of money on training before I got her because I told the person, I was like, I don't know how to train a wolf.
Oh yeah.
So here's a lot of money. Can you train the wolf for me before you send it from Romania? And they did.
Okay, so the trainer trained
in
the wolf
Romania,
in Romania,
and they did a great job. And like I love her so much, and I'll bring her next time maybe.
Oh yeah, why not?
Yeah,
I would love
sweet.
to.
She would just be sitting here with us.
That'd be amazing.
And then she's like an actual wolf. You saw like she's.
I saw the picture. She
and
looks completely.
you feel it when you look at her and everything. You feel it, and just
you know what I mean. Interestingly, now when you have told me, I was looking into it, and she looked like a wolf.
Yeah.
With just a glance, I thought earlier when I saw some of your pictures, I thought it was a husky.
Yeah, and it's definitely not because the difference is wolves have
maybe because
now.
we are just so programmed
to
not imagine somebody having a wolf.
Yeah, because like all my dog people are like that's like I was even walking to the store the other day with her, and the guy just is outside doing smoking. He's like, "Oh my god, that's a wolf! It's a wolf!" And he just starts freaking out. I'm like, "Yeah, it's true."
Did you have a leash?
Yeah, I had her on a leash. But the good thing is I found out from just like putting her and stuff, she won't run away because they're really pack oriented. So they're scared of everything. So the wolf won't fight; it'll run away. But if you put it in a corner, it's like 25%. She's 25% smarter, stronger bite force, everything faster than a dog, like any dog. So if she had to fight, no dog has a chance, but she would never fight because she's, if a dog's attacking, she's hiding behind me, kind of thing. So, but like when you see her teeth, like the back teeth, the molars are insane. And like, so sometimes I give her like, say I give her a bone and just crunch, like no effort, like just crunch. And I'm like, man, like she's strong.
What is the lifespan of a wolf?
I would say in the wild, it's not as long, but I would say for her, it's 10 to 16 years.
10 to 16 years.
And so she's like 9 or 10 months right now. Because the thing with the huskies, they're more puffy and everything. Like that. Notice her face is narrow. That's why the wolf and the eyes. Pay attention to the eyes and the face.
And I think this is one of the studies that I did last year, and that was about that puppy eyes are the muscles which have been developed on the dogs over the period of time
because they want to manipulate us.
She
does not. You'll see when you look at her eyes. She doesn't really.
I saw the picture. Yeah. There was no puppy.
There's
muscles.
There's none. But she's very sweet. Like she would just come here. She's shy. So the thing is, she's indifferent if someone pets her. Like for me, she wants my attention, but for other people, she's indifferent. She's not going to attack you. She's not going to think. She would probably just sit here quietly. And if you make a weird sound over here, she might run to the corner because she gets scared. She gets startled from everything.
Does she get angry?
I've never seen her angry. I've never even seen her bark, whine, howl, or anything yet. She hasn't even made a sound yet.
No sounds.
Which is amazing, actually. My other dog is so annoying. So because I have my golden doodle.
And they're good together?
Yeah, they're good. They're really good together. There's no issue. My golden doodle is more like wants to play with the wolf, but the wolf a lot of times does not want to play. But but like because the other thing with the wolf is she's lean. Like she's around this long and she's lean.
Oh.
And I'm lucky I have her. Like, and keep in mind, this is 4 generations of domestication of wolf. This is not me just getting a wolf on the street.
Okay.
4 generations.
Fourth generation.
So it's from a high-end breeder in Romania, and like it's my dream dog. So I was just like, life's short. I want a spirit to have I've always wanted 2 dogs. I'm not getting more than 2 dogs. I've always wanted 2 dogs, and she's good at travel. But the thing is, like people, and no one's gonna bother you. Toronto's a violent place. Like, no one's gonna come up to me when I have a wolf right here. Like,
amazing, man. Of course.
But yeah, when you see her teeth and you see her eyes and you see her in person, you're like, there's no way that's a husky. Another thing, one of the other ways to tell between a wolf and a husky is huskies dogs are more like their arms are more to the side, where wolves are more like this. So when you see her walk, she's more like she'll walk like this.
You can see the difference in the walk itself.
And you can see how agile she is. When you get her to move around and stuff, it's insane. Like I'll send you some videos later if you want.
Yeah,
like, just seeing her jump around and stuff, you're like, wow. Like
that'd be crazy.
I'm like, I have no chance, you know. Like if she actually went after, but she wouldn't. But yeah.
And what is the total size that she's going to grow?
So they believe because she's a female, 60 to 100 pounds.
Okay.
But she's always going to be lean. Like wolves are lean; they don't overeat or anything because they won't survive if they overeat in the wild, right? Because you never see a fat wolf.
No.
And also, food is scarce in the wild, but they don't overeat because they have to move. So she's like very lean, and so I can just leave food out, and she doesn't even eat it if she doesn't want it. And she's really picky, like with treats and everything. My other dog just eats everything. She's so picky; it's so annoying. Where like I'll bring her a treat, she won't want it. Another, she won't want it. But then okay, she wants this one.
Yeah.
So she's a very picky girl, but very smart. Like I can tell she's very smart. Another thing is people got to remember wolves. You can't really. Like she can sit and she understands. She just doesn't want to do it. Like she's not a show dog. Like she's not a dog that you can make sit and do everything. I can make her sit, but like it's a lot of effort. Yeah, she's not gonna roll over me. She's gonna say she doesn't care.
She's a wolf.
Yeah, exactly. But oh my god, the love of my life. But yeah, everyone thinks I'm crazy. But like when I bring her, you guys are gonna love her. Like
no,
I
of course.
It.
I'm really excited to see her next time.
Yeah, no, I'll 100% bring her.
All right, brother. It was pleasure. It was such an amazing conversation having with you, and I can't wait to launch this and have a couple of others after this.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun. And we're going to do a Halloween special too.
Halloween special too.
Yeah, and I'll get you the seance, maybe the seance.
yeah. I want to come to the seance also.
Yeah, no, that means a lot.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It means a lot.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this podcast. And if you're not subscribed yet, then click right now and subscribe because every week I'm going to post a video or a podcast and it is going to be about marketing, content creation, and business. And if you want to check out some other videos and interviews, then here are some of my recommendations for you.